Rapper Flo Rida was handed down a major victory in court yesterday.
He was awarded more than $82 million in a legal battle against the makers of Celsius energy drink over an endorsement deal gone wrong. The rapper, known for songs including Right Round and Whistle, spoke after the verdict was announced. He says he has gained a, quote, new respect for the judicial system.
This was a long journey, but we prevailed. From the start, I only wanted what I worked for. Nothing more, nothing less.
NBC News legal analyst Danny Cevallos joins us now to break it all down. So first of all, Danny, just the basics. What's the basis of the lawsuit, and what was Celsius's counter-argument here?
For some reason, the company decided to enter into an agreement with Flo Rida that involved not just compensation, but stock options, all kinds of other things. So really boiled down, this is a straight breach of contract case. And the challenge with breach of contract cases, and why probably the company should have considered settlement rather than go to trial, is that there's a lot of possible outcomes. Yes, the jury can find for the defendant and award nothing, but the potential damages in a breach of contract case can really vary and can go from normal to absolutely what we're seeing here, huge damages. Because interestingly enough, the measure of damages can vary in a contract case. Is it what you expected to receive? Is it all the profits that you didn't get? Or is it just some, measure of, hey, the money you spent litigating the case? So it's really hard to gauge damages. The jury here decided to really hit the defendant. Whether or not that gets upheld on appeal, what a lot of folks don't realize is that appellate courts will often chop down what they think are excessive jury verdicts. But in a case like this, there aren't a lot of cases like it. So it doesn't seem likely the court would say, hey, here's another analogous case to the Flo Rida situation. We'll chop that verdict down.
So what did the jury find here that Celsius did wrong?
Essentially that it breached its contract with Flo Rida, that there was an agreement between the parties, and Flo Rida believed that he was not awarded the benefit of the bargain, that the company owed him money and that it was part of the deal. Like I said, a pretty straightforward breach of contract. Contract is an agreement between two parties, and each side gives what's called consideration. In this case, Flo Rida was offering things like his face, his likeness, I'm involved, maybe even his business acumen. And the company would compensate him, and he alleged and won on the basis of not getting the benefit of the bargain.
So, Danny, Flo Rida's lawyer said he wanted the 1% ownership of the company that he was promised, not necessarily a dollar amount. You say it's hard to gauge how much a jury is going to award to someone. Do we know how they got to this $82 million number?
It's really interesting because courts really don't like to award what's called specific performance. They would much prefer to award dollars, because dollars are easier to force someone to pay. When you get into things like, hey, you have to perform this contract, that's harder to enforce. A good example is Twitter, right? When Elon Musk was wavering on whether or not to go through with the purchase of Twitter, courts generally don't like to say, hey, now you have to buy Twitter. Think about how complicated that would be. You're forcing someone to own something that they don't want to own. So you can see pretty quickly that what courts prefer instead is to say, hey, why don't we put a dollar amount to this? And that looks to be what the jury did.
A big one, too.
A big one.
Danny, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.